Hello, this is Keith Graham from Codasip. I'd like to introduce you to the feature called ip.conf. It's a way that you can configure a variable that's used in your processor design, your CodAL project, to enable or disable a feature. And the way I have configured the model, the processor project for assignment 3 is I put actually errors in the model. And each time you find one of those errors, you will actually have to disable the error and actually put the correct code in using this function ipconfig. So let's go to Codasip Studio. Now you can see that I'm in Codasip Studio and I have this particular file called ipconfig open. And you can see that I have basically a lot of Boolean type of variables that I have actually added into my design so that I can actually disable or turn off a failure that you'll be using in this assignment. Now, in assignment 3, you're going to have a special CodAL project called assignment 3 IA risk 32I. The reason why you're going to use this is I have built in failures into the project that you will try to find while you do your regression test. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to actually switch over to the workflow perspective. And I have a regression test that I've configured. And I'm going to launch it in the debug. Make sure that you select the, if you have multiple history debugs, that you're actually selecting your regression test with assignment 3 IA risk 32I. Now, it's really helpful for me. I really do like this extended view of the registers. So I'm going to open my registers and I'm going to get the extended view on the right here. I've configured my test to actually have a breakpoint right before my actual failure. So let me get there. And so I'm going to actually step through this code. And you can see that each one of these branches, I'm going to check to see if an OR operation is going to be valid or not, whether I get the right answer. So I'm going to step through it. And you can see here I'm testing registers 4 and 5. And if I come over here, you can see 4 and 5 have the same value, so I won't branch to fail. I'll step to the next test. Oops, 4 and 5 are also the same, so I'm not failing. So my OR operation for these two particular tests is true. Now if I come to this next test, now you can see that 4 and 5 are diverging. I have actually an error in my immediate OR operation. So I'm going to actually fail this because the way I've developed this test, this is a little bit more comprehensive test than what you might be writing for assignment 3. And you can see that I will branch to fail. So you'll be actually just comparing registers to determine whether it fails or passes. Now let's see how we're going to use ipconfig. So now I know that my regression test actually tests that failure. So I got to take that failure out. So I'm going to end my debug session. I'm going to go to ipconfig. And I'm going to, since that was an immediate operation from the itype, it was my itype regression test error. So I found it. So I'm going to type in false. And I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to regenerate my project. Since I've changed ipconfig, I have to rebuild my processor model. This will take a minute or two, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back shortly. I'm back, and if I look down here, you can see that I finished building my project. So now I can go back into the debugger. I'm going to go back into the debugger in a slightly different way, just to show you the different ways to actually launch a debug session. I'm going to go to the debug perspective. I'm going to open my debug perspective, and this dialog box is a history of past debug sessions. So I want to find my regression test, assignment 3 in my history, select that, and I'm going to say play or debug session. So I'm starting a new debug session. I still have my breakpoints where they were before. Let me go to the first breakpoint. And I'm going to click through, and you can see that registers 4 and 5 are exactly the same, which means that I do not have a failure, just like in before I disabled the I-type test. And I'm going to go to the next test of my OR immediate. And 4 and 5 are exactly the same as expected. Now, the next test is where I failed upon. So I'm going to step through it, and if the ipconfig worked as I expected, I should now pass it. Now I'm going to go down through to my branch not equal. 4 and 5, they are the exact same answers. Now, the reason why we're using ipconfig is once you build up your regression test and you've actually found the error in the I-type, make sure you do it more exhaustive than just the finding the error. You need to actually resolve the error, so then you can start doing the regression test for the next set or type of instructions, for example, R type or B type or S type. So this is the way that we can use to validate that you have found an error in each of the different types of instructions, and then you can take out the error so that you can move forward with the assignment. Now, if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel so that you will be notified when additional videos are published. Good luck!